They are infamous rock superstars of the 80s.
The sound of Mötley Crüe, most notorious band in the world.
I'm going to say they are the most notorious rock band of all time.
And now a new biopic is set to tell
the unbelievable story
based on
one of the best-known autobiographies.
The Dirt. It was a pretty good book.
Sitting in front of me now is Nicky Six.
Here to talk about a new biopic.
I have to pinch myself.
It's a musical powerhouse, Nicky.
And the band's superstar manager, Alan Kovac. Hold on to your seats, everyone. Finally, your story is about to make it to the screen, and I can tell that this has not been an easy journey.
It's taken a while. Started with our real-life story, obviously, and then a book. When did that book come out?
18 years ago.
18 years ago.
After Dr. Feelgood,
Right.
I came in. We didn't see this earlier before we met Alan, but Alan helped us organize our band in a business sense.
They wanted to be part of a future. So when you have a book like The Dirt, you have to find a special publisher. And HarperCollins loved the idea of a band signing a contract that they wouldn't change anything once they gave an interview.
We didn't read each other's parts. So that's the magic of the book, right? There's sometimes the story lines up and sometimes it doesn't line up. And it was important to us to be completely transparent.
So tell me, what's been the process of getting it transformed into a movie for Netflix?
We've been trying to get this movie made for a while. We were originally at Paramount, and we felt like it was a good fit for us, but then we were having some creative issues as far as sterilization. So we ended up at Netflix, and they said to make the movie that was the book, The Dirt.
The interviews for the book were done in 2000, and the book was released with 430 pages in 2001.
You left nothing out.
You can't make a 4-hour movie, but what we did do was tell it like it was. Quality is what Mötley's always been about. They don't settle for good, they settle for excellent, and excellent is telling the truth.
It's a thin line that the film has to walk at times between finding humor in the excess and being entertaining, and then at the same time showing that it's fairly dangerous.
We tried to distill the worst things the band did into the movie to show how you can hurt yourself, your family, and innocent people, whether it's violence, abuse, broken marriages, or letting each other down. Excess can hurt, and in their own way, Mötley Crüe is letting young people know. Nicky's an executive producer along with the band, and Rick Yorn. I'm a producer along with Julie Yorn and Eric Olson. Julie and Rick had done Boardwalk Empire, which was an era piece. You saw the excess in that film, and the reason we chose them after we left Paramount was that they wanted to really show an era for what it was and help magnify the message. Jeff Tremaine, the director, lived the era.
He wanted to tell the story from the perspective of being there.
It's interesting that a lot of people regard this as a golden age of rock and roll. There's a generation of young people who regard this as music from a previous century.
What I'm hoping people really take away from this is, first of all, a better understanding of the band and a better understanding of the era.
80% of streaming is catalog. You can create an echo chamber on Apple, Spotify, Deezer, and Netflix, and your algorithms can work with their algorithms and turn people on to a story. All these platforms, even though they're starting to compete with each other, really understood the message of the movie, and they've all cooperated together. The film is made to de-glamorize drugs.
Absolutely.
When people think of Mötley Crüe, they think that they started the behavior of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And in reality, they didn't come close to that. What they did was they just took it to another level.
Have a talk with your Uncle Oz. Come on. Now, this is your first real tour, right? I want you to be careful. Have fun, but know when to say when. Because a life full of booze, drugs, and unprotected sex is only gonna fuck you up, man.
These were kids who saw their heroes glamorize drugs.
I was doing $10,000 worth of heroin a week.
How much?
$10,000 worth of heroin a week.
The band has lots of regrets. We wouldn't do a movie like this if we were just only celebrating.
The band wanted to send a message saying, look what can happen to you, your family, your friends.
We also didn't have a lot of strong people around us. Even someone like Alan today who will work with us and get us over obstacles. Right. Back then, every time we did something wrong, we sold more records and we got another pat on the back.
There was no other band quite like us that was so honest. People would, sort of cover up their bad deeds, and we would just talk about it and be honest about it, write songs about it. The part that's important to me and the guys in the band is that we survived this. It's a story of a family that survived themselves. And now what have we done good with these years?
These guys were 19 to 20-something. They had instant success, and the 60s and 70s certainly celebrated what they took to access.
And so we wanted to make a very specific, important, potent movie about a period that was very different than it is now.
And that's not who we are today.
To be honest about that takes courage, and I think it gives everyone a moment to think about the opiate crisis. Nicky, to his credit, for 11 years has written op-eds, been on major television all over the United States, spoken in Washington, D.C., and Nicky and I are working on a musical called The Heroin Diaries from his book, The Heroin Diaries.
I'm really happy that the word epidemic is attached to this crisis right now, because it's taken people out in droves. It's unbelievable.
Thank you very much. Good to see you, Nicky Sixx.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alan and Nicky Sixx.
The Dirt, Confessions of the World's Most Notorious Band.
Comes to Netflix March 22nd.
We think we're going to be able to make a difference.
Final thought. One word to describe Mötley Crüe.
Real.